Alright, HUD. So, show HUD. I would recommend keeping this on unless you're some kind of really hardcore player and you don't want to see your HUD and because this shows ammo counter, radar, stuff like that. So I just recommend keeping this on if I was you. This is pretty good if you want to turn it off to take screenshots or something like that though in the game. Alright, so next up we've got damage / affinity numbers. So this are numbers that show up when you do damage to an enemy and get XP, stuff like that. So if we go back, we find an enemy, where is one? So when we shoot them, all the numbers come up. See all the numbers that pop up, and then basically if we turn this off, this basically just gets rid of the numbers. So if you maybe if you're using a sniper and you want to be accurate and the numbers kind of distract you, maybe you want to turn this off, but personally I like to see how much damage I'm doing, and you know, it allows me to brag when I see high crits, stuff like that. And also if I do see 0 damage for whatever reason, I obviously know there's a problem. Adjust HUD margins, you know, so if I have it all the way out here, finish that, confirm. As you can see, my map and my health bar, stuff like that, is very close to the edge of the screen. And then if we do the opposite, so if we have it as small as possible, now the map and the health bar and stuff like that is very close in.
Not let our target know we're here. Track them down quickly.
This could probably be a bit better if you don't want to look all the way to the outside of your screen. And I should probably keep it like that because, okay, well, yeah, I should probably keep it like that to be honest. But yeah, that is your personal preference. If you're on a monitor, because I'm on quite a big screen, it's probably better to have it closer together, just so I don't have to keep looking all the way to the top of my screen, because my TV screen is pretty big, so probably keep it like that. And also we'll go all the way down to here now, so we'll get onto all this in a second. But HUD scale kind of relates to this as well, so I can kind of put mine like this because my health bar and numbers and stuff is quite small. You can see in the top right, it's quite small, and then if I go back into HUD and go onto HUD scale, you can change this to your preference. So for example, you can have it full, which I wouldn't recommend because, yeah, this mixed with the lower border is not a very good idea. So if you do want your health bar to be bigger, I would not recommend going and doing that because the screen is just cluttered. Maybe if there's a way to make your HUD kind of transparent in a way, that might be kind of good, but it's up to you. Play around with that. HUD scale and adjust HUD margins, play around that with yourself, see what you like. Next up we've got show player list. This basically shows all the players at the side of your screen. So if I quit out, basically where my health bar would normally be at the top right, then under there will show my other players' health bars and shields and how much energy they've got, stuff like that. So that's going to be kind of helpful if you're with a team, so it can show at the right as well when they go down and stuff like that. I would always recommend having this setting on. So let's go back. So this one, show playlist, always put this on. This one's normally off by default, so I'd always recommend players put this on. Alright, so next up we've got show ability dots. So let me go into the game.
The Lotus is counting on us.
Shut up, revive Slayerz, you don't even funny. Basically, if you look at my reticle and then you see underneath there's the 4 dots, and then I don't really find this too useful because I always look at the bottom right anyway, but if you look at the bottom right, my left ability is highlighted blue, like the left dot in the middle of the screen. So this basically means that if I press RB now, it's going to use that left ability further to the left. And then if I use blind, you can see that the dot has now changed to the second dot. So basically if I press that again, it's going to use second ability. So this is kind of useful. I don't really use it that much, but if you use that, it's up to you. It's probably something to get used to when you start the game. Next up we've got to show teammate names. You might as well just keep this on. This basically just shows your teammates' names above their heads. This is kind of useful for if you're in a lobby with a few people and you want to see who is who. And this also shows your teammates' names through walls and stuff like that. I had this off for the longest time and didn't even realise that I had accidentally turned it off, and I always went on my brother's account and wondered why I could see players' names through walls, which I thought was very useful, so I'd recommend keeping this on. Show enemy names, so we find an enemy quickly, we go on here, it shows above the head, Corrupted Lancer, that's just that enemy's name. This is just very useful, so You can, if you get used to the names, you can see what the enemy is. Also, as you just saw, it showed the health bar, the yellow health bar. That's also really useful. Just so you can see how long they've got until they die. You might as well just keep this on. Really good for a game like this where your damage and stuff like that means a lot. Alright, so subtitles. So this is when somebody talks.
Target located. Bring them in.
Alright, so if you see there on the left, Lotus just talked, and basically she had some lettering under her kind of picture when she comes up. So basically that's all subtitles are. It basically just, I'm sure most of you know what subtitles are anyway. Basically the subtitles will just show what the character said in text, I suppose. So I will just keep this on. Alright, so next up we got lock map rotation. So if we have a look on the map, as you can see, when I look around, the map looks around as well to where I'm facing. Then if we go into options, if we tick this on, basically the map will not look around. As you can see, when I look around, the map just doesn't look around. So basically if you have this on, you can kind of say, okay, so now I'm looking north, looking south. So if you and your friends want to do that, just so callouts are a little bit easier, something like that, you can do that. This is probably kind of something good to get used to if you can. I might have to try and start doing that. Prefer map overlay. So if you have this off, as you just saw, the HUD is like that. The minimap is in the top left. But if you press prefer map overlay, basically the map on the right will always show like that. And that's always to that scale as well. So even if I change my HUD scale, stuff like that, that map will still be that size. So if you prefer it like that, that is up to you. Otherwise, if you just want to bring up that bigger map, you can just press the back button or select button. The button to like the left of the Xbox guide button, or to the left in the middle, wherever it is on PlayStation, I'm not sure. But you can just press that if you want that bigger map to come up anyway. Alright, so next up we've got HUD motion. So this is basically your HUD will move around slightly when you move around. So if we go back, move. So if we look around whilst moving, stuff like that, you can see that the HUD will kind of like react to the ways that I'm looking slightly. But if we go back and we turn this off, it's only a slight difference, but as you can see, the HUD will not move around at all. It's just completely static and just will not move. But this is personal preference. I'd rather keep this on. It's just a little fancy thing on the side, kind of pleasing to the eye, I suppose. HUD scale, we've already gone over that. Mark your Kubro. This is really useful, in my opinion. So basically, on my Kubro, all it does is put this symbol above his head. So even if I'm on the other side of a wall, you can see him, and he glows, and it's just really useful. So I just recommend having that on. Basically, if you turn that off, that it just gets rid of that. Disable sniper scope. This basically just makes it so sniper scopes have a fancy scope when you zoom in. Nothing special. It's just basically an overlay on the screen for sniper scopes. Just basically making it show that you're aiming down a sniper scope. Basically, if you turn this off, you'll basically just have to have the normal reticle when you zoom in like this. But obviously, it'll be a lot further zoom with a sniper. But if you don't like the sniper scopes, you can just turn that off. That's up to you completely. Alright, so next up we've got display. So brightness. If you want your game to look the best, if you're playing a darker room, the brightness is normally around here in the middle. If you're playing a darker room and you want your game to look the best, I would recommend going down in brightness just a tiny bit. It'll just make it look a little bit better. But I play with mine kind of high because my room's kind of a lit room, because I have to have my window open. Otherwise it'll be really warm. I have to have my brightness kind of high, otherwise I can't see the TV screen because my room's too bright and my screen's too dark. Contrast, normally it's around here. I always go up 2 because this just makes the colours pop out even more. For example, if we go full contrast, as you can see, the colours are very different and they stand out a lot. Darks compared to brighter colours, stuff like that. Right, so if we go back onto contrast and turn it all the way down, you'll be able to see it. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, you don't want to do that at all. If you ever want to play like that, and that's your preference, I mean, that's up to you. I wouldn't recommend it. But yeah, from default I always just go up 2 just so the colour is a little bit better than normal. So they're not quite washed out, so they're just, you know, they're just a bit brighter or contrast a bit more than normal. Right, so next up we got field of view. I have this on full, so my field of view is like this. It's all the way out from my character so I can see the most on my screen. Right, so next up we got field of view. So I always keep mine on max. This basically means that my screen is zoomed all the way out from my character. This is just really useful for me personally, because I am normally jumping around a lot and be able to see where I'm going. It's only a really slight difference, but if you watch my video from yesterday you can see that even my accuracy with like a bow, something like that, is kind of nice still. But if you put your field of view all the way down, you're very close up to the shoulder of your character. Right. The shoulder of your character. Your accuracy should technically be a bit better like this, but personally, when the more zoomed in you are, you feel like you run slower, and I don't really like that. When you're zoomed out, turn a racing game, the faster you go, the more zoomed out the camera gets, just to make you look faster than what you're actually going. But if you zoomed all the way and you feel like you're going kind of slow, so I don't really like that. So I always just go field of view max so I can see exactly what I'm doing. But this is your personal preference. I used to play with the field of view all the way down because I was used to Mass Effect, and this game kind of reminds me of Mass Effect in a way. So I had it all the way up to the shoulder. But now I play with the zoom all the way out so I can see the most on my screen. It feels like I'm going the fastest and stuff like that. Okay, so next up we've got adaptive exposure. This basically, what it does is kind of makes all the leveling kind of the same in a level. So if you can see the lights there, we move through this room, all the level of lighting's God damn it. All the level of lighting's kind of similar, it's kind of bright. You get what I mean. But if we go back and turn this off, you can kind of see that all the kind of fakish lighting's gone. There's not much of a difference, but it kind of makes so shadows are shadows, and they're not kind of adapted to match the light of something like this waterfall. So the room's dark and the waterfall's still bright. That light up there is still bright compared to the rest of the room. I've always had this on, but personally I think I'm going to take this off because I don't know if this is a new option or what, but I've never really seen this here. Well, this is another kind of thing you'd see on PC compared to a console game, so I'd recommend having that off if you want to go for more realistic lighting. But if you want everything to be a bit bright so you can see in the game, go for adaptive exposure, because all the lighting levels in the room will be more similar. But I think I'm going to keep this off, and I'd recommend keeping this off if you want the best or realistic looking game. Okay, so next up we got glare. I've just been testing this out, and to be honest I didn't realise any change whatsoever turning it off or on, so personally just keep this on, because no matter what, if you have it on, it's a graphical enhancement, even if you do notice it somewhere. I've just been testing it out, didn't really notice the difference, so you might as well just keep this on. There's no point changing it if you can't really notice the difference, so just keep this on. If you really want to turn this off, it might, performance wise it might help, but I didn't really notice it when testing it just a second ago, so yeah, you might as well just keep this on. Okay, so next up we got ambient occlusion. I've not really noticed much of a difference from this. Just been testing this out as well. Personally I just didn't really notice any difference. I'm not really sure what this one does, so I've just kept this one on. I'd recommend you just keep this one on. But if you do know what this one does, tell me in the comments section, just so I can probably just update this video or whatever, tell you what it is. But yeah, just, might as well just keep this on. Okay, so next up we got depth of field. This will basically change the kind of the blur when you zoom in and zoom out of different objects, stuff like that. So if you're zooming into an enemy, or basically the focus of the camera will basically be on the enemy and probably blur out the background, stuff like that, if you get what I mean. I could show you, but more than likely the quality of my video will be too shit to even pick anything up anyway, so that's basically what it does. This is kind of nice if you want to turn off blur or whatever completely, that's up to you. Motion blur, turn this off, end of, just turn it off. Basically, if you have motion blur off, it's gonna mess with your eyes. I know I've been playing with motion blur on all this time, but I'd recommend turning it off, especially when there's so much stuff going on in this game. If you blur that all up when you're moving around, you're basically gonna have to adjust your eyes when you stop moving around, stop looking around. So I would just take this off. When you're running around, this is gonna be more noticeable. But I would just keep this off if I was you. It would benefit you a lot more. Alright, so next up we've got bloom. Bloom basically makes it so lighting effects are more enhanced and stuff like that. I personally always have bloom just maxed up. The intensity of the bloom basically changes that too. I always have it maxed, so lighting effects are more crazy and stuff like that. You can have this off if you want, but lighting effects will more than likely just be a bit more boring, and it's not as nice to look at, and don't really seem more as lights because they will have more of a glow to them. But you can play around with this as you will. I always have it turned up all the way max because that's just how I prefer it. Okay, so next up we've got colour correction. I've always had this off, it's just always been off for me, I think. I don't think it's necessary. Colour correction just makes it so more colours will be changed to match the environment or whatever, so they match each other a bit more. I believe that's what it is, I'm not too sure. But if you have colour correction off, then colours will just be what they are meant to be, so you'll just see them what they're meant to be. Just keep this off if I were you. It's always been off for me and I've had no problems with it. Play around with it, see what you think. Next up we've got constant weapon trail. So this one's kind of a cool one. I don't really like having it on, but if we see here, if we have it off, if we run around with our weapon, there's no fancy effects or anything. But if we turn on channeling, and then you can see here in the dark blue, like the streak that's coming from the back of it. Also, if we have it on our back, there's no effects or anything like that. But if we go into options and go into display and constant weapon trail, okay, so now you can see even though this melee weapon is on my back, the constant weapon trail is there. And it'll always show it for other players as well, so this isn't just setting it if it's on for you or not. This will just say if it's on for other players or not. Sometimes it's kind of nice, but if you've got like a big long ass sword, the weapon trail will just be absolutely crazy and just massive, so that's why I prefer to keep it off. But if you think that's kind of cool, sometimes it is kind of cool with like daggers, like if they're just a small weapon trail coming off you, something like that's kind of cool. But obviously the brighter the colours as well, the more noticeable it's going to be, so this is up to you. Next up we got weapon elemental effects. So if we cancel out of here, as you can see on my melee weapon, I have kind of electrical effects on mine because I have electrical damage on it. If we go back into options and go into display, you really want to, probably for performance reasons if anything. Alright, so now I've turned it off, and as you can see there's no electrical effects there, so if you're really struggling and your Xbox is for some reason being kind of laggy or something like that and it's too hot normally, if you really want to turn this off due to performance reasons, then you can do that, but personally I keep it on because it does look nice and it's not crazy compared to weapon trails, so I'd keep that on if I were you. Again, that's more of your preference. Alright, so the final tab, we got audio. Master volume, I would recommend turning this down for this game because I have it on half because this game is just naturally really loud. You'll probably notice this the first time you load up the game and the music just starts going and oh my god, it's loud basically. So I would recommend putting this down. If you don't mind the volume, or you just want to turn the volume down some other way via your TV or something like that, it's up to you, but I hate it when I go on it like pretty much every other game and the volume's kind of similar. Then I go on this game and it just starts booming and my eardrums pretty much explode, so I'd recommend turning this down, but this one's up to you. Music volume, I have this all the way down just for the purpose of this video, but if you want, obviously you probably normally have it on, I would recommend having it on just so there's more ambient noise in the background. I would normally have this on half the actual master volume because normally it's just the music is like the loudest thing on this game, it's kind of distracting. This is another option that is your preference though. Speech volume, I have this turned down a little bit because the speech is kind of loud as well. Transmissions volume, This is also kind of speeches, but all this is basically your preference, but I'm just going to tell you what they all are. Transmissions, so again, if the Lotus talks to you in a mission, stuff like that. Sound effects volume, this is just the normal sounds of guns and stuff like that. I kind of need to go over mine because it's kind of a mess at the minute. Audis volume, you can turn this all the way down, but I might as well keep it on because he always pops up no matter what if you turn it down, but Audis is just irritating, and if you want to turn him all the way down, that's the Audis is the ship's AI, so if you want to turn him all the way down, do that. Next up we got enable tutorial transmissions, so I think this is basically when Lotus tells you what to do. So I'm going to turn this one off because I don't need it. Lotus constantly telling me what to do, she does it all the time. Okay, so next up we got reverb. This is basically echoes in the distance for weapon fire, enemy chatter, stuff like that. I would recommend keeping this on, it's just a audio enhancement. It's really nice to have, why not? Just makes the sounds feel like they have more life to them and more dynamic. Operator voice, so if you do one of the quests, this is kind of a spoiler. If you don't want any spoilers, then stop listening for a couple of seconds. I'll try and make this quick, so stop listening now if you don't want any spoilers. Alright, so operator voice, basically when you do a quest, you can have your operator, the person who you actually play as, the Tenno, will talk in missions, and then you can basically have him talk. And then he'll come up at the side of the screen and just say some cheesy little lines now and again. And basically, if you want to hear that, then keep it on. Alright, so spoilers out of the way. Next up, we got mute private message notifications. I have this off. I don't really want to mute private messages. I mean, if you're a big time YouTuber or something like that, and you get private messages all the time on Warframe, then you might want to keep this on. But normally people like me and you. Maybe not you. I mean, if you're a big time YouTuber, then, I mean, congratulations, I suppose. I always keep this off because I want to know if someone sends me a private message. Okay, so next up we got voice. This is basically game chat. If you want to enable game chat or not, this is an option. This is up to you. If you use game chat to talk to teammates, I would recommend keeping this on, obviously. But if you don't use game chat and you're normally in party chat or don't really want to talk in game chat, you can take this off. It'll probably help in performance in some way. It's up to you. Next up we've got auto gain control. So if someone's a bit too loud on the mic, it'll automatically turn them down. But I've noticed that this actually turns people down a bit too much now again. When they're a bit too loud, it'll basically silence them. And I don't like that at all. It's really annoying, especially when someone's trying to tell you what to do or something like that. So I'll just keep this off. Next up we've got voice receive volume. I'm going to turn this down to half because now and again you will get little kids that join your game and they will be extremely loud, so I'd put this on half. Or sometimes other people may be loud anyway, so I'd keep this all the way, not all the way down, sorry. I'd keep this around half. But yeah, another overview of what I have for settings, just going to scroll through quickly. So there's controls, gameplay, chat, HUD, display, audio. So if you do want to copy what I have, there you go. Pause on each tab. And so yeah, that was a quick video. It's basically showing off all the settings. Hopefully this video will help because, like I said, I did make a video to try and get people to play this game, or at least try it out, because it is a pretty brilliant game, my favourite game of all time probably. Though I hope this did help. Hopefully the game isn't too loud right now actually. So yeah, if this video helped you out, leave a like on the video, because this video is meant to help you out, so if it did, leave a like, that'll be appreciated. If you do dislike the video, give it a dislike. But if you do dislike the video, please tell me why you disliked the video in the comment section, because your feedback will obviously help me improve my channel, improve my content. Also, if you want to see more videos like this, guides and Warframe Division videos, subscribe to my channel so you can keep updated with all my videos. Otherwise, I just want to thank you for watching, and again I hope the video helped, and I'll see you in the next video.